Hello and welcome to Success Academy's live class. I'm here with Jaime Miller today, and in just a moment she's going to come on and take you through today's class. But first, I'd just like to let you know that my name is Steve Woody and I'm Jamie's technical assistant. Today, Jaime is going to be talking about the 3 factors that create your accent and how you can control them to get a 26 plus on your TOEFL speaking. Now, just before I get started, you'll see there's a comment box underneath. I'd be very grateful if you can just post a comment, let me know that you can hear me okay and that everything's working. Fantastic, that's great, I can see that now. So there is a slight delay on the line, just to let you know. There is about a 20-second delay between what we're doing live and what we're seeing in your responses. So please just bear that in mind when we're talking to you and asking questions, that there may be a slight delay. Really hope that you've got a notebook and pen with you. If you've not, now's a great opportunity. Just take a moment now to go and get a notebook and pen. We'll be starting in about 2 minutes' time. We're just going to let everybody come into the room. Also, just like to take this opportunity to ask you to please turn off Facebook, turn off Twitter, Snapchat, close any other windows that you may have open, and just focus. Give yourself the gift right now of being present. Jamie's worked really hard to bring you this material, and she's been really focused and dedicated in making sure that you get the absolute best that she has to offer. So don't waste the opportunity of having her here now present by being distracted. If you put your cell phone, make sure you mute that. And as I've already said, you can type in your questions into the Facebook comment area. It's just below the video. In just a few moments, we'll go over to Jaime and she'll be live, and I'll be dealing with any of the questions that you have through the chat box.
All right, here we go. Hi guys, welcome. I'm really excited that you're here watching today, and I wanted to take a moment to thank you for coming, because I know for some people, if you're in America right now, it might be really early in the morning. People who are in California are waking up at 6 a.m. right now. It's very early. Even people who are in other parts of the world are going to work. Maybe they've had to make some time in their schedule to come and watch this class. And in Asia and India, it's even later in the evening. So I'm grateful that you might have changed your plans to come and watch this and be here with us. So that is just fantastic that you're here. It's super exciting. So I'm really excited to share this information with you today. And we're going to be talking about accents. Like I said, my whole goal here today is to help make it clear and easy for you to understand why people get a speaking score of 26 or higher on TOEFL speaking, and how accent is important to that. So just very quickly, I want to talk about why it's important to discuss accents. That's the first thing there, why it's important to discuss accents. Because most schools actually don't talk about accents. I have worked in a lot of English schools, and even when TOEFL IBT is taught in lessons, and they do the speaking section preparation, usually they don't talk about your accent. And it's something that is really important, but not a lot of people are talking about the effect of that on your score. Basically, we need to talk about your accent because your accent affects your speaking score, especially if you need a speaking score of 26 or higher. And I know that a lot of the people who are watching are pharmacists, nurses, maybe you're applying to a medical program of some kind, or you need to make a change in your career, or also possibly you might be applying to a top-tier MBA business program, or some other kind of master's or PhD, and you want to have a competitive score. So in order to have that competitive score or to meet the kinds of requirements and standards, you need to get a 26 or higher. For a lot of people, that's their own goal with that. Okay, now you might have seen this picture that I'm showing you here. This is the image of ETS's official speaking rubric, or their scoring standards. And maybe you've seen this before. Sometimes they show this in courses. I don't usually show this to my students because it's confusing. That's basically the thing about it, is that it's not so easy to understand those official scoring criteria. I remember when I started teaching TOEFL back in 2010, I looked at that speaking scoring rubric and I felt really confused about what it meant. I'm just going to be completely honest with you here, because nobody is teaching English teachers how to teach TOEFL. So, you know, when we look at those rubrics, sometimes even we can feel confused about that. So if you're a student, it's totally normal for you to feel confused when you look at that. And so what I want to start with today is changing that official rubric into real world English that's easier to understand, so that you don't feel confused by it and that you have some really clear, easy to understand targets about what you want your speaking score to sound like what you need your English to sound like to get the score that you want. And just really quickly, before I get into that, I want to share a story with you right before we do that. Yesterday, something really fantastic happened, and it made me super, super happy. So at English Success Academy, I've been working with some students for a really long time, and some other students came in more recently, and they were taking lessons with Sally and with Veronica. And so I've had this kind of team of teachers that I've been helping with some students. And yesterday we got news from 2 students, and it was so exciting to get this news from them because they got their speaking score of 26. They both did. And when I get news that one student has gotten 26 or higher on speaking, it makes my day. It makes me really happy. But to get 2 students' news in the same day, it was just incredible. I was so excited. And Sally and Veronica, we were all really excited that this had happened and changed. So I want to share it with you really quickly, because one of the students is a man who studied for TOEFL for 9 years. 9 years. And he finally got the score that he needed. And the other student is a woman who studied for TOEFL for 5 years. And together, if we think about those 2 students' collective pain and agony and frustration, it was 14 years of frustration about that exam. And I want to tell you before we start that it can be really hard to pass this exam. I was speaking with one of the students last night, and she said to me that she's never done anything harder in her life. That, you know, she learned things about herself, that like she can't give up. She has to keep going. She has to keep trying. She doesn't want her children to learn to quit. You know, she learned things about herself while she was studying for TOEFL that she never expected she would learn. And I wanted to tell you that just very quickly as a reminder that you might be in the middle of studying for TOEFL, and you, like everybody, I know you want it to end as soon as possible. I know you want it to just finish, and I want that for you too. But sometimes when you're studying, you just have to keep going. You just have to keep going, because if these students from yesterday, the one who studied for 9 years, the other one who studied for 5 years, if they had given up before that, they wouldn't have gotten the score that they needed. So it's just a reminder that there are a lot of times when we think we can't do it, we doubt our ability, we think life is against us, we think it's impossible, everybody else can do it but not me. And if you keep going and you try the right strategies and you move in the right direction and you do the right things, you can get the change that you need. So I just wanted to put that out there because it is really true. It's totally possible. People do change their scores and they do get what they need. So there's a little bit of inspiration before we start off. So like I said, these 2 students got their speaking scores of 26 or higher. So what does that mean? Well, we're going to look here really quickly. As I was saying, we're going to translate the official explanation of ETS's criteria of delivery into real-world English, something that we can all understand. I don't want you to feel confused. So here's the first thing. what do the speaking scoring criteria for delivery and 26 plus mean in real world English? Well, first, you speak at the speed of people on TV and in movies, right? That's that normal conversational speed. The second thing is that you speak confidently with a voice that's loud enough to hear. So if you're a naturally shy person, it's important to change the volume that you're talking at. And the third thing, what we're talking about today, is that your accent is very light and the listener does not struggle to hear you the first time that you say something. The first time you say something. So if you've been living in America or if you've been studying English in another country and you talk with people in English, sometimes you might experience that people ask you to repeat yourself or that they misunderstand what you said and you have to repeat yourself a second or a third time so that people can hear you clearly. If that's happening, if you are repeating yourself, this is an indication that your accent is the core of your issue, and it does affect your speaking score. In other words, what this means is that when people get a score of 23 or 24, the listener or people can understand you, but they struggle a little bit. They struggle to understand the specific words that you say. Maybe some of the verbs don't sound clear, or maybe the meaning of some of the words isn't what you want to say, and you have to repeat yourself again. And if that's happening and the listener is struggling, you're getting a score of 23 or 24 over here. But on the other hand, when you get 26 or 27, 28, 29, or 30, you sound almost like a native speaker, almost like an American, or almost like a British speaker with an English accent. But it needs to be consistent. It has to be consistent. I've actually met some people and I've helped some people get scores of 30 on the speaking section, and one of them has a completely English accent, 100% English accent. If you listened to this student, she got 30, on the telephone, you would not know that she wasn't born in England because she sounds completely English with her accent. And everything about her accent is totally consistent. And I've heard also when students get a score of 30 and they have an American accent, it's a completely consistent accent. They're doing other things, it's not just accent, but that's one of the factors of that delivery score is the really, really, really consistent accent that sounds the same. So if you've studied English in school, you might have had a teacher who spoke some British English, and then later you watched a lot of American movies, and you learned a kind of blended accent where some of the words that you pronounce sound more like British English. Things like, in American English, we say first, but in British English, it sounds more like first, and the R is missing a little bit. First, first. But if you mix those, some of your words sound like British English, other ones sound like American English, that can be a problem for your TOEFL score, because for the listener is constantly changing. They're like, oh, British English word, oh, American English word, wait, which one is that? And there's a lot of back and forth, and so the listener is confused. But to get that high score on TOEFL speaking, your accent is consistent, and everything sounds really, really clear. Like I said, the first time that you say it. All right, so I've got a quick question for you here. If you've got your notebook, I want you to write this down. Do you need a TOEFL IBT speaking score of 26 or higher? Do you want it? Or can you get a lower score? Is 23 or 24 okay? Do you have a choice, or do you have to have 26? And really importantly, why do you need this score? Write some notes for yourself about this. Actually write out some sentences. A lot of people who I talk to write things like, well, I need a 26 because then I can become a pharmacist in America, or I need a 26 because then I can apply to my medical program or my PhD or something like that. And I understand that, but it's not a very motivating sentence. And I want you to dig into that idea a little bit more. If you become a pharmacist in America, what's going to change for you? Is your pride or your respect for yourself going to be different? Will you feel more confident? Will you have more job opportunities? Will people trust you in a different way? If you sound like a native speaker and you have a really clear accent, and if you become a nurse in America, or if you apply to a PhD or an MBA program or an LLM, what will change when you talk with your professors? Could you give presentations better if you sounded more like a native speaker? Would you have better job opportunities? Right? So thinking about these things to be really clear that this isn't a number, right? Sometimes, I mean, everybody talks about how much they hate studying for TOEFL. I understand that. I mean, it can be really terrible. But if you look at the number, which is so confusing, that's not a motivating factor. Like 26, I want 26. What does that mean, you know? But to change those words that you use to talk about it, like I want to sound like a native speaker because then I can communicate with professors and they'll trust me in a different way. Maybe I'll have more research opportunities. If I have a job interview, they'll trust me more. If there's an emergency at the hospital where I want to work, I can communicate more quickly with the doctors and the nurses and the patients. Everybody will trust me more. I'll have more confidence in myself. I'll earn more money. I'll be a better role model for my children. You know, I mean, get really specific about why you want that score. It's not just about the number. If you just look at the number, you can get really angry and frustrated. But if you look at the benefits that you're going to have in your life, that really changes the feeling that you have about why you're doing this. And it can make you a lot more happy when you sit down to study because there's a real outcome, not just a number. Okay, so hopefully you've got some answers to that question there on your page. Here's the next thing I want you to answer for me. On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident do you feel about your accent in English? Right now, 1 is kind of down there on the side. The guy's looking a little sad and confused. He's not sure, not feeling very confident. 5 might be more in the middle. We could have 2, 3, or 4. And then over here, as we go towards 10, you get more confident. So right now, where do you feel like you are with your confidence about your accent in English? Now, I know the ideal is something like 10. Everybody wants to be at 10 because you can't get better than a 10. It's the perfect level of confidence. But where are you right now? Make a note about that. And the last question I want to ask you is, what could you do to feel more confident about your accent? Maybe you're saying, I don't know, that's why I'm here. Okay, and I'm going to give you some ideas. I'm going to give you a lot of ideas about what you can do to change your accent, how you can improve your accent. But I want to start by asking you, what can you do to feel more confident? Do you think you need to talk with people more? Do you think you need to do self-study? Do you think you need an opinion from somebody about what your accent is like? Get really clear about what would make you feel confident. It's important for you to identify what you need to feel confident. Last night I told you the story about how I spoke with one of these students I had. She got the 26 on TOEFL speaking finally. And when we talked on Skype last night, she told me, Jamie, there were some moments when I just didn't believe you. You told me I could keep going and I just didn't believe you. I didn't believe it in myself. She didn't have that confidence, you know? So it's like if there's a disconnect, if there's a difference between what somebody tells you or the program they give you or, you know, what you feel like, what they're telling you to do and what you believe, you may not benefit from understanding what they're saying. So it's really important for you as a starting point to think, what do you need to feel more confident? Because you're the expert on yourself. I'm talking here. I may never have met you, and so I always believe that my students know themselves really, really well. And if you give yourself the opportunity to articulate and express what's going to make you feel more confident, I would trust that answer. And I want you to trust that answer also about what comes up for you. All right, okay, so just a quick sip of water. Lots of talking here today. All right, okay. So the first thing that we're going to talk about here is, like I said, the 3 factors that control your accent in English. I'm not going to make you wait to find out what these 3 are. I'm going in detail about each one afterwards, but very quickly so you can take your notes and organize them and understand what I'm talking about and where we are. These are the 3 factors. The first factor is pronunciation. The second factor is weak sounds. And the third factor is intonation. Like I said, we're going to talk about all of these things in more detail here. But let's start with the first one, which is pronunciation. Just real quick, is my video showing? Yeah, we're cool? Okay, cool, good. All right, so so for pronunciation. So pronunciation is a physical activity. And one of the reasons why sometimes students sound like Chinese speakers of English or Russian speakers of English or Spanish speakers of English is that people do different things with their mouth. In some languages, it's normal to put your tongue in a specific place, or to move your lips in a specific place, or that your jaw placement can change for certain sounds. And so if somebody has a habit of moving their lips or their tongue or their jaw in a specific way, they bring that habit with them when they're speaking English. And so a lot of times we have to change some of those physical habits so that the person learns how to move their tongue or their mouth or their jaw in a new way. So it's important to remember that pronunciation, in a lot of ways, it's actually really simple. And if you imitate a native speaker, and if you put your tongue in exactly the right place, if you put your jaw at exactly the right place, if you do exactly the same physical thing that the native speaker does, you will have the same pronunciation. You can't make a mistake with that, because if you do the same physical thing, you get the sound, because that's pronunciation. So when I'm talking about pronunciation, let me just give you some really specific examples here. It fell on the floor. Hang on just a second. I had one more little card. Ooh. Oh, it went somewhere. Okay, all right, here we go. So let's take this as an example. This is a really common pronunciation mistake that I've heard students from so many different language groups make. Russian students make it, Chinese students make it, Spanish-speaking, Portuguese-speaking, like so many students from different language groups make the same pronunciation mistake. So I thought it would be a good one to start with today. So let's take these 2 words, for example. We've got these 2 words, think and there. Okay, so both of these words have the TH combination in them, right? But the TH sound in English has actually got 2 different pronunciation options. You can put your tongue in 2 different ways and you get 2 different sounds. So we write it the same way. We always write TH, but the sound can be different for those. Now, to make the association with the sound, I'm going to show you a special symbol. Don't be stressed by it. Maybe you've seen it before or maybe not, but it's a little bit easier to use a little symbol for the sound and then a different symbol for the other sound so that you can identify that they're not the same, even though they're spelled the same way. So we've got 2 symbols for TH. One of them is like this symbol here. And the other one is I'm going to get closer so that you can actually see that real quick. But here's the soft TH sound. Got to get in the camera there. Right. This is the soft TH sound. And you can see that when I say this, I'm sticking my tongue outside of my mouth. It's not on the inside, it's outside. So maybe it's kind of strange. Usually students say it feels weird, but that's okay. You want to make the same thing. And that gives you that sound. But if you change it a little bit, I'm still sticking my tongue out, but now there's this buzzing sound, right? It's not soft in the same way. Right? So these two sounds can change, well, I mean, these two sounds are what sound like native speaker English. And when those are clear, you've got the American accent and you sound like an American native speaker. But the thing is, a lot of students don't make that sound. Instead, they keep their tongue inside their mouth and then they make a mistake. So sometimes they want to say think, but they actually put an S sound at the beginning and they get sink, sink, think, think, sink. So you can see if your tongue is in the wrong place, you get a different sound, and then you get a different word sometimes. So it's really important to be clear about that. Having the right pronunciation changes the sounds of the words that you make, and it raises your TOEFL score. So these individual sounds, when I say pronunciation, I mean the small parts of a word, not the whole word, just part of a word. So other pronunciation sounds could be like z, z, z. Or sometimes, this is the mistake, d, d. So instead of saying there with there, sometimes students make a D sound and they say something that sounds more like, whoops, wait, I gotta change my direction there. It sounds more like dare, dare. Okay, so that factor of pronunciation is the first thing that TOEFL graders notice, right? So when I say pronunciation, I'm talking about individual sounds, TH sounds, S sounds, Z, D, and we create these with the physical shape of your mouth. It's about where is your tongue? Where are your lips? What's your jaw position? Is your mouth really open? Is it closed? All of these things affect the pronunciation of how your English sounds. And of course, it's important to imitate native speakers and have those same kinds of sounds, because that makes you sound like a native speaker, and then you boost your score and you get the 26 like you want. Okay. So the question is, how can you improve your pronunciation? A lot of people feel kind of confused about this. And I know a lot of people who are listening right now have my program, Advanced Speaking Guide. It's my green book, Advanced Speaking Guide for Scores of 26 Plus. And there's a special chapter in number 2, which is also key 2. There's some very special information in here, and we're going to look at it really fast. I'm going to give you a quick overview. Now, if you have the book, everyone should read page 12. Everybody. That's super general advice. It's great information about how to practice pronunciation, how long it takes, things like that. That gives you a routine that you can follow by yourself to study every day, and you need to do it every day. But if you speak Chinese, Tagalog, Korean, Japanese, Thai, or an Indian language, you want to look at page 10. So if you've got your notebook, I would write this down really quickly. Just write down these numbers so that later you've got a reference point. You can go through the program if you've got it, and you can check out these pages. Maybe you speak another language. So if you speak French, Portuguese, Spanish, Russian, Arabic, Farsi, or Turkish, look at page 11. You guys, you all still want to look at page 12. That's still important because everyone should be reading that. But you'll see that on these pages, I'm just showing you an example out of the book here. These are pages that have lists of common pronunciation issues for people who speak different native languages. And so you can see that I've made this chart that you can follow, and you can look at it and see, okay, well, I speak Arabic, so I'm probably going to make a mistake with final ing sounds. Then I need to look at list 29. Or For example, final ed sounds on past simple verbs. You can see here, this is a really, really, really common mistake. Everybody here is making that mistake with the final ed sounds. So I'm going to show you an example of that here today. But you want to make sure that you do the practice that's associated with this on list number 16. So if you have the book, you go and you find list 16, which here you can see it's on page 156, and we talk about the 3 sounds of ed. I always like telling you why you need to do this, because it makes it a lot easier to study it if you understand what the purpose of it is. And you definitely need this kind of ed sound when you're summarizing past life events on tasks 1 and 2. Like, you have to. You should tell a story, and you need to use past simple verbs. But you also might need past participle, or the third verb form, if you use passive grammar to explain scientific processes on speaking tasks 4 and 6. So you can see from this that that pronunciation feature is really useful in so many different parts of the exam. You've got to be able to have that there. If you're making a pronunciation mistake with ed sounds, it's going to bring down your task 1 score, and then it's going to bring down your task 2 score, and then it could bring down your task 4 score and your task 6 score. And so if you've got mistakes in all 4 of those, you're not going to get the speaking score that you want. So you have to have that kind of accuracy and consistency when you're talking at the exam. Okay, so the book and the PDF document has a list of stuff that you can follow, but there's also a video on the website with an explanation. And so if you go into our special membership website, you can access in the online TOEFL workshop the section of advanced speaking that's for Key 2 and then pronunciation, and you find those extra pronunciation videos online, and they help you imitate the right physical shape so that you can watch me and you know that you're doing the same thing that I'm doing. And then you can go back to the book where we've got the lists of sentences and words, and you can keep practicing with those things and get really, really specific focused practice with that. So if you're still feeling confused about how to improve your pronunciation, you need to read page 12. We don't really have time to go into it. It's actually, oh man, time's really passing. Okay, I need to go a little bit faster here because we've got a lot of other stuff to talk about. So it's just very important to read page 12, because before reading page 12, you might be feeling a little bit confused. Like, I don't really know how to improve my pronunciation every day. I'm not sure what I should do. How many times do I need to repeat something? What process should I follow? What should I do? And after you read page 12, you're going to have that confidence. You're like, oh, okay, I understand. First, I need to do this. Then I need to do this other thing. And there's a routine that everybody can follow, no matter what their language, native language is. It's very useful for people from all around the world. I've been using it with my students for the last few years, and I know that it works really well. It gets results. So check out that page of the book if you've got it. All right. Okay, let's see here. So we are just moving on. So the next thing here, that was the first one that we talked about, is pronunciation. So the physical shape of your mouth, individual pronunciation of small sounds that make words. That was the first one. The next thing we're talking about is maybe a new surprise. Most of the students who I've worked with have never heard about this before. They're just like, oh wow, that's something new. None of their teachers talked about it. They didn't see it in books. It was not something that they were aware of or paying attention. So if you feel the same way, that's totally okay, because the students who I've worked with who changed their score from 23 or 24, later they got 26, 27, even 28, they didn't know about this either. And sometimes they only studied for a couple or 3 months, and they were able to get the change that they needed. So if you have an open mind, if you are optimistic, if you have confidence in yourself, if you believe that you can learn things and change and grow and improve, you can definitely learn how to do this. So right now, what I'm going to tell you might seem like a little bit new and kind of confusing. It just means that you need more practice. It just means you need more practice. Like I said, I'm giving a quick explanation of these things right now because I want to give you the big picture understanding of how to improve your accent. But when my students study these things, they take weeks. They take weeks to do this. So this is the quick introduction. You have to spend more time doing all of these things. just watching like a 1-hour video with me or a 90-minute class isn't going to get you the results that you need. So these are the introduction concepts, but later you have to go through it. So if you feel a little stressed or confused right now, it's okay, it's totally normal, and you just keep going with it. Because like that student who kept studying for 9 years or 5 years, I hope that it doesn't take you that long, but if it is taking you a long time, just keep being patient. Make sure to focus on the right things. And so the right thing to focus on is number 2, which is weak sounds. Weak sounds. Like I said, this is the big surprise. People say, what? What are weak sounds? Okay, well, basically, when Americans or British people, or Canadians, they can come from other countries too, when we speak with our friends, when we speak with each other, I hate to say it, but sometimes we're a little bit lazy when we talk, right? So we do not always speak in extremely clear, separated words where every word is put after the other. We don't talk like that. We push our words together. Sometimes we squish a sound. We make it smaller or we shorten it. Sometimes we pull other sounds so that they're longer. And when we make the weak sound, basically, we're being lazy when we're talking, but we do it all the time. It's not the same thing as speaking quickly. It's a different kind of thing. Let me come back to my slide here and show this to you. So the weak sound, basically, we minimize, we shorten, we squish, or we make smaller grammatically important words that do not give a specific meaning. We're going to do some examples with this, but basically, it just gets smaller. The word doesn't sound the same. Some examples of this are a or an or the. Very common examples here. There are others. We're going to go through a couple of them here. But we pronounce that word differently. So let's identify some weak sounds together. So in the following sentence, which words are grammatically necessary but not specific or meaningful? And here's our sentence. I don't think that it's a good idea. Okay. I'm going to give you a hint. There are 2 weak sounds that we are looking for in this sentence. 2 weak words. What do you think they are? Okay, I'm going to tell you the answer. So the 2 weak sounds are the yellow ones. That, that, I'm going to give you some more explanation about these. We're going to go in a little bit more detail here. Here I've broken down the sentence so that you can see the strong version on the left side. The strong version does not sound natural. But on the right side, we've got the weak version, which sounds natural. So on the left, the strong version, we've got a. It's a good idea. It's a good idea. And if you're watching right now, I want you to repeat that after me. Copy what I'm doing. Imitate me exactly. It's a good idea. It's a good idea. Nobody talks like that. So it's important to do it because you can recognize that that's the wrong way to do it. It's not how you want to have all these strong sounds. It's a good idea. It's pause. A pause. Good pause. Idea pause. We don't pause in between every word. Native speakers push the words and the sounds together. So what we get is actually the weak version, like I said, which sounds natural. So a changes. We say actually. It's a good idea. It's a good idea. And if you're listening, I want you to imitate me again. Let's say that weak sound. It's a good idea. It's a good idea. And you feel how that flows differently? The first one was the strong version. It's a good idea. Second, weak version. It's a good idea. It's a good idea. It has a really different kind of rhythm, right? The music of that one doesn't sound the same as the other one. It's a good idea. It's a good idea. One flows a lot more. And that weak sound, that's what you want to imitate when you're going to the exam. All right. So the strong version, I've X'd out. You don't want to do it. What you want to imitate is the green, the weak version on the right. That's the one that TOEFL graders love. When they hear that, they think, wow, this person really sounds like a native speaker. That's fantastic. I love their English. It's so easy to understand them. Oh, and here we go. I got another one. I forgot to make my slide. Okay, well here, this is what we're looking at. So I've got another example down below, which is with this other word, vet. Vet over here. Vet is the strong version. I don't think that it's a good idea. I don't think that. Take a moment to repeat that if you can. I don't think that it's a good idea. And let's come to the weak version on this side. Think that it's. I don't think that it's a good idea. I don't think that it's a good idea. Take a moment to repeat that. I don't think that it's a good idea. And just for the comparison, let's come back to the strong version again, really quickly. Let's say the wrong thing. Let's make the mistake. I don't think that it's a good idea. And let's say the right one again. I don't think that it's a good idea. Okay. All right, guys, so we're going to keep going here. So just really quickly here, can you guys come up here in the video, sorry, not in the video, at the top of the website, would it be possible for you to click the refresh button so that you can reload this page and get the most current version of it, if that's possible? So I'm just going to take a really quick minute here. I'm just going to wait for you to go up to the top of the page, reload. We'll just take a quick water break, and as you do that, I'm just going to have some water.
Hi guys, it's Steve here, just helping out with Jamie, and the reason that we're asking you to do this quick refresh is because I'm aware that the chat facility has not been working, or some of you have not been able to access the chat facility. So what I've done whilst Jamie has been talking is I've redesigned the web page that you're viewing.
Wow!
And you now have a live chat box so that you can talk. So if you refresh the page, you will get a live chat box. The screen will look slightly different, but you can communicate with us.
Steve, that's awesome. Thank you. Isn't he great? Seriously, he just does all these things. He's not stressed out. He just keeps working on it. That's fantastic. Thank you for that. All right, so we're having a little break as everybody refreshes their page, gets the new version of the website. That's great. It's why I call him my tech wizard. Seriously, I cannot do all of these things by myself. I can't build websites. I teach English. That's my thing. Anyway, so I'm really glad that we've got you there. All right, awesome. Are we back up and ready to go here? Yeah? Okay, fantastic. All right. Okay, guys, so let's keep going here. So just to come back to this part, we were just talking about weak sounds and how you can improve your weak sounds. So with the activity we just did, I gave you a quick introduction, but you need more practice. And if you have the Advanced Speaking Guide, I want you to go to Key 4, Chapter 4, and look for the section 4.3. Everybody should do this. The pages you want to write down for a quick reference later are pages 18, 19, and 20. You want to make sure that you go through, get the PDF version of the workbook, print it. I always recommend printing those pages because it makes it a lot easier to refer to them later, do the material, make sure that you really can review it. When I've done this activity with my students, we do a lot of repetition with it, like a lot of repetition. Weak sounds, like I said, are usually a surprising new kind of concept that most students have never heard of before. So it's really important to have the opportunity to review that more than once. Like for a couple of weeks, at least, you probably need to be doing these kinds of activities every day. And you'll start to notice if you're watching movies or if you're speaking with people at work or you're doing something with English, you're listening to the news or TED Talks on the internet, you'll start to notice, wow, there are so many weak sounds everywhere. Native speakers are using weak sounds all the time. And so for a lot of my students, it's this kind of rediscovery of English. Because for a long time we're focused on grammar. All your teachers are teaching you grammar. You have to focus on grammar. Learn more grammar, you'll have perfect English. And there's so much focus on the grammar or the vocabulary or something like that, and nobody talks about these sounds of English very much. So it's really normal. Students who sometimes have been speaking English for most of their life have never heard about weak sounds before. So it's normal if your experience with this is kind of surprised and a little confused about what to do. But like I said before, it's completely possible to change your ability to make weak sounds. You just need enough practice with it, right? So that's the main thing. So like I said, you want to be looking at pages 18, 19, and 20 in the advanced speaking guide. That's going to give you the practice. And there's also some audio files on the website that go with that so that you can listen to me and you can do the practice material in the book. Very important to work on those things. All right, so yeah, that's kind of where we are right now. I've just finished the second topic, or second factor, and like I said, I'm just going to take a quick break here, so yeah.
How are you finding that so far? I can see the live chat box is now working.
Is it working?
If you want to just put a comment in, how are you finding it so far? Is the information that Jamie's giving you, is it good information?
Let me know, because I can't see any of that right now, actually, so give me some updates on how people like it. I'm very curious.
Sean, I can see from your comment you're saying that you've got a test on the 25th of April. Your previous speaking score was 23, but you needed 26. I guess you're short of time.
Yeah.
You're only short of time if you don't know what to do with that time.
Yeah, it's true. You can do quite a bit. Wait, you said it's the 23rd?
25th.
Yeah. So that's coming up. So that's, hang on, I'm just checking out my calendar here. Yeah, so it's like 2.5 weeks. I mean, it depends on what's holding you back. What's the student's name?
Shan, S-H-A-N, Shan.
Shan, okay. So, yeah, Shan, I mean, it's possible that you may have some issues with grammar or vocabulary. We don't know with accent. It's pretty difficult for me to anticipate that, because this is actually the whole reason that I do consultations for students, because a lot of people, so many people, get 23 and 24. And because so many people get that score, it's a little bit meaningless, actually, because we have to listen to you and understand what your accent issues are and things like that. Anyway, but okay. You had an announcement that you were going to make?
So I'm just going through and checking on the conversation with people, letting everyone catch up. I know there's a couple of people that have had a challenge just watching the video, so I'm just dealing with that at the moment.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for being patient.
But yeah, we have a record amount of people in the room. I think some of you have managed to crash the website. So there's that many people listening in. So fantastic that you're all here. What I just want to do is take a minute, because I've been working really hard behind the scenes here whilst Jamie's been giving you this amazing content. I don't want you to go away from this webinar and then lose momentum. It's really important after this class that you continue to take the steps that you need to practice. So it's been really important to talk to people and to find out the best way for them to be able to do that. Now, we know that we had a live class 2 weeks ago, and there was over 750 people that registered. So Jamie gave a live class to all of those people, and out of that, so many people were asking for one-on-one tuition and for Jamie to be able to tutor them one-on-one. And trust me when I say this, Jamie would love nothing more than to be able to take each and every one of you one-on-one and get you past your TOEFL exam so that you can start living and stop worrying about TOEFL. Reality is that Jamie just doesn't have the time, and this is why we're putting these environments together to help as many people as we possibly can. Now, given how many of you last time said that you really wanted this one-on-one service and you wanted to work with Jamie, I've been begging with her and pleading to try and get her to put something together. And trust me when I say this, we are doing everything in our power to get Jaime to you as much as she possibly can with her other commitments. To put it into context, she is only one woman, and she does have limited time each day.
Unfortunately.
To give you an idea, she's going up to Manchester in the UK, so she's in London at the moment. She's going up to Manchester in 2 days to do a teaching conference, and she's going to be there with some of the best teachers from around the world that are gathering here to be able to learn the latest things to help you guys get through your TOEFL exam. So she is 100% dedicated to bringing you the best information. So what we've done is I've managed to speak to Jaime, and I've said that, can we put 1 day aside? 1 day where as many people as we can go through and help them in a specific topic. And so Jaime said, yes, we can do that. We can find a day and we'll put it aside and we'll go through accent reduction. So on the 15th of April, which is a Wednesday, next Wednesday, the 15th of April, Jaime is going to put 1 day aside where she's going to help. We've worked it out. We can only help 20 people. And it's only fair that we say the first come, first serve. So underneath the video that you're watching now, if you're on the website, and I'll post a link in the live chat box, there is a green button. It's the special offer. Some of you may have already clicked on it, and I see some of you have already been clicking through. We can only do this for 20 people, and a few have already bought it, so I think we're down to 17 at the moment. It'll tell you when you click through. We're going to do this just for this 1 day to give 20 of you the opportunity where you will submit your spoken words to Jaime, and she will then assess them and give you personalised feedback on that. So I just wanted to give you the opportunity to look at that now before Jaime goes back and talks about the third factor.
Yeah. All right, good. And just to be really clear about that, the reason that we're keeping it at just 20 and we're limiting it is because it's really important to me to give you high quality information. I don't want to create a kind of factory style situation where I'm so busy and tired and that I can't give you the attention and the energy that you deserve. So the reason that we capped it at 20 is to make sure that you get valuable information that is specific to you. So yeah, all right, that's it, great. Okay, so without further ado, we will move on and talk about the third factor. And just to be clear, I will explain a little bit more at the end. After I talk about the third factor of intonation, I'm going to explain what happens specifically in that accent reduction package that we've put together for you especially today. So we will talk about that after. But I want to give you this third factor so that you're really clear, what is intonation? What does that mean for you? How does that change your accent? So let's get in with this one. Okay, so intonation, sometimes people know what intonation is. Sometimes they've heard of it before. And the easy way that I like to explain this to my students is that it's the music of English. It doesn't have to do with the grammar. It doesn't have to do with the vocabulary. It's just about the sound and how the music sounds, the kind of rhythm, the rising or the falling sounds. Oops. Okay. So if you're taking notes, you might want to write down that it's actually the music of how you talk. So sometimes the volume changes by rising or by falling. Other times we stretch or we lengthen or we bend a word or a group of words so that we change the meaning of it. Now, that definition might seem a little bit confusing, so of course we are going to go through an example here for you so that that is really clear. Okay, so when you speak with a fully American intonation or fully American music, it's easier for TOEFL graders to understand what you say. And remember that they give a 26 or higher to people who sound almost like native speakers. So once again, this is an incredibly important aspect of what your accent is and how you sound. Okay, so let's do an example. I want to identify a really, really simple intonation change. We've got one word. It's a sentence. Hey. hey. Now we can say hey so many different ways. Maybe we sound angry, bored, or excited. And I want you to say it. Like, you're there in your home, hopefully you're alone, or if you're with a group of people, you could say it still. I want you to say hey with an angry sound in your voice. Hey!
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 Maybe your face changes a little bit. You know, you get kind of that rising, short, angry sound when your voice goes up. Hey! But in the other way, when your voice maybe sounds bored, how does it sound different when you say it that way? Hey, hey. It's kind of flat, doesn't change. But if you're excited, you get a different sound. Hey, 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 right? So one word can have all of these different meanings. It can have these different sounds. The volume changes, the length changes, we bend it in different places where it stays flat. This change, that's intonation. That's what we're talking about there, is that bending or the lengthening or the flat. Now the thing is that when people go to TOEFL, usually they get really nervous. And so what happens when they sound nervous is that they get pulled into themselves and they close down, their chest gets tight, they stop moving, they're really closed, their head's down, and it's really hard to hear them. And sometimes their voice gets really, really flat when they're talking, just because they're nervous or stressed. And TOEFL graders can hear that when they're listening to your responses. And I can tell you, this is completely true. When my students go and they get really high scores, 26, 27, 28, they sound excited, super excited. Like, they're going to talk about speaking task 4 and it's some crazy academic concept and they sound so excited to talk about that concept. Or in task 5, when the student has the problem, they're so excited to tell you about that because it's their friend and they want to help and they've got advice and we can fix this problem. You know, they have that excitement and the enthusiasm. Other people who go to the exam and they've got that kind of flat, nervous or bored sounding intonation, they get lower scores. I don't know anybody who's gotten a high score, 26 or higher, when they go and they're just like, one of the reasons that I really like living here is because blah, 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 right? And their intonation is just flat. It kills your score, totally kills it. So it's really important to be aware of this, about these intonation changes. So the ones you really want to care about, if you're taking notes, are about how bored or nervous sounds flat. There's no change. But when you're excited, you've got some rising and some bending. And that's the important thing. But where do we make it rise? Where do we make it bend? That's what we're going to talk about. So here I gave you a very simple explanation and example just to highlight the concept so that you're 100% clear this is the concept that we're talking about, not something else. But you don't say, hey, at TOEFL. So I want to change the topic so that we are actually talking about something important for TOEFL. Okay, so make sure to write this down. This is extremely important stuff. Whether or not you have the advanced speaking guide, you need this information in your notes. You want to review this regularly. So at TOEFL speaking, you use rising intonation in 3 main ways. First, to emphasize your opinion. Second, to emphasize transition phrases. And third, to emphasize the punctuation in long sentences. So you can see that the similar thing about all of these is that intonation emphasizes something. We are emphasizing, we are exaggerating, we're highlighting, we're drawing attention to specific information. And that makes it easier for the listener to understand you. And when you do these things, when you emphasize your opinion, when you emphasize transition phrases, when you emphasize punctuation in long sentences, you sound like a native speaker. And then TOEFL graders are super impressed. They're listening to you and they think, wow, this person who's talking really sounds like a native speaker. It's so much easier to understand them. They just sound so comfortable and excited, and they really communicate in a way that sounds like a native speaker. And then they give you the score that you want. For real. Okay, so let's go through some examples of these things, because maybe you're thinking, okay, I'm gonna emphasize my opinion. I'm going to emphasize those transition phrases. But how do I do that? What do you do? So we're going to go through some examples of that right now so that it's clear. All right, and now, next thing, I just want to remind you, just take deep breaths during this time. Because, again, this might not be something that you're so comfortable with right now. There are a lot of activities with videos about intonation and audio files in Key 5 or Chapter 5 of my program. We're just doing a little bit right now to kind of get you comfortable with the concept, but just like with the other things, you've got to review these things. You have to review it. I mean, I've never done any lessons with students where they just instantly get it. Everybody, even people who already have really great reading, listening, and writing scores, even people who already have good intonation, they need to practice it consciously. So it's really, I wouldn't be surprised if you're feeling a little confused right now. That's totally okay. It doesn't mean that you can't do it. It just means that you need to keep practicing it. That's it. So as we go through these examples, make sure to take a deep breath, and you can always watch this video replay again later. So, you know, if you feel stressed, don't worry. You can come back and check this out again. All right, so we're going to do some quick examples here together to get you started with this. Okay, so I said the first reason is to emphasize your opinion. Where would you do this? Well, maybe on task 1 or task 2 or task 5. Those are places where you have to emphasize your opinion. Something comes up there. So if we look at these sentences, which words would we emphasize in these sentences? I'll say them with a flat sound. I really hate driving cars. Oh, that sounds boring. For the next sentence, in my opinion, I definitely think the women should blah, 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 blah. So which words would we emphasize? What do you think? Take a moment and either write down the word that you think is going to be emphasized, or if you've already written it out, maybe you have a highlighter or a colored pen with you, and you might want to write out, underline or circle or highlight the word you think we're going to emphasize. Each sentence has one word that we can emphasize. Okay, here are the answers. In the first sentence, we emphasize really. I really hate driving cars. I really hate driving cars. And when I say it, look at my face, the way that I say it. I really hate, really, really. We stretch it. It's not just really, really. Really, really. I really hate driving cars. Right? We kind of bend it, we pull it a little bit because we want to emphasize the information. If I say it completely flat, I really hate driving cars. Really? Do I really hate driving cars? That flat, bored, or nervous intonation doesn't send any message to the listener about your opinion. It just sounds bored, or like you don't care, or that you're just scared. So it's very important when you go to the exam on task 1, 2, and 5 to put that energy and that emotion into the sentences. So we want to emphasize really. And in the next sentence, in my opinion, I definitely think the woman should blah, 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 blah. I definitely think. I definitely think. And again, we emphasize that, we stretch that. I definitely think. Definitely. Definitely. I definitely think. We're not going to do it flat. It's going to have that pull, that little slight rising sound. So these kinds of adverbs, you might notice really, definitely, actually, totally, completely. Those kinds of adverbs are things that we commonly emphasize. So if you're making a quick list, you might want to write those down. But those are very common ones that can come up in task 1, 2, or 5. All right, let's keep going with another example here. The other thing I said is that we use it to emphasize transition phrases. Now you need these everywhere. You've got to use them. All 6 tasks, you will have transition phrases. Phrases like basically. So that's why. However, and because of this, first, and the other thing is that, And so when you say each of these, you want to make sure that you're emphasizing it, because for the TOEFL grader who, I mean, seriously, let's stop and think just for a moment about the job of being a TOEFL grader. They're listening to all of these students' responses. I don't know how many minutes or hours it goes on for, but it would be really hard, don't you think? I mean, you listen to all of these students give their opinion about, do they like going shopping in a mall, or do they like going shopping in small local stores? And they listen to like a whole bunch of responses about the same thing. And most of those students probably have the very flat, monotonous, I really like shopping in a small local mall because it's very exciting. And so many people just sound really nervous or very bored. And the TOEFL grader's brain just shuts down after a while. They get bored, right? I mean, it would be tough to just listen to so many people's things. Now, I'm not asking you to feel bad for TOEFL graders. They made the choice to have that job. My point is that if you imagine all of these students giving these responses, and they're kind of these boring responses, and then suddenly the TOEFL grader hears you, and you're excited, and you make it easy for them to listen to you, and you've got these transition phrases where you make it so clear, so easy for them to understand you, that when they listen, they don't struggle at all. And they're thinking in their head, like, oh, thank you for speaking so clearly, for sounding interested, for being enthusiastic. Thank you for giving me a great response that I enjoyed listening to. I had fun listening to it. It was entertaining. I didn't feel bored. Everybody else made me feel bored, but yours was interesting. That's what you want to do when you're talking. Change the way that you're thinking about it so that it's fun. Seriously, makes a huge difference. So these transition phrases, when you say basically, you want to pull it a little bit. Pull that transition phrase so that it emphasizes it. It's easier for the TOEFL grader to hear it if you pull the sound and you lengthen it a little bit. It draws attention to it, makes it clearer. So just again, I'm going to go through this list real quick. Basically, and if you want to, just imitate it. Say it after I say it. So that's why. It's got that little rise in the middle. However, and because of this, notice that when I say and, it's not the strong sound. We talked about weak forms a little bit before. I did not say and because of this. And because of this, because of this, and because of this, right? So just repeat that if you can. Next transition phrase. First, flat. Don't do it flat. First, rising sound. That's a good thing. And the last transition phrase that we have here, and the other thing is that, now here again, we've got some weak sounds. And is not very important. That sound changes. And the other. Not and the other. We do not separate all the words. And the other thing is that. And the other thing is that. Okay, so emphasizing those transition phrases can help boost your score. It makes it a lot easier for the TOEFL grader to pay attention to you. So remember to do that. All right, okay. Now, like I said, there's a lot more practice in Advanced Speaking Guide. We've got to keep going here, gotta keep moving. I can talk about this stuff forever, but I know we want to get through the other stuff here. So, okay, the third reason that we use intonation is to emphasize punctuation in long sentences. Now, when we speak English, the grammar, the sentence style is different from writing. It's not exactly the same. they've actually done research about this more recently. I'm not going to bore you with it, but there are a lot of features of spoken grammar that are really different from the way that we write. It's just not the same. And one of the things that is the most important for you to know about how we speak and the grammar for that is that the sentences are longer. Okay? So if you've been making really short sentences, like I like shopping at malls. Malls are really fun. If I go to the mall, I have fun, right? It's like these little short sentences. This is one of the reasons that your score could be limited. And we're not talking about grammar, but my point is when you make long sentences, you sound more like a native speaker. But at the same time, you've got to help us understand the punctuation of those long sentences. So here I'm talking about things like the comma and the full stop at the end, right? So we can't see these when we're talking. We don't know where the comma is. Like when we write, it's very easy to just put a comma in a sentence and be like, oh, okay, there it is. I can see the comma. I understand the grammar. I understand the sentence. Or, yep, full stop. I understand the grammar of the sentence. But when we're talking, you can't see that, right? We don't know where it is. So we have to have a technique that translates and pulls this concept from writing into speaking. And the way that we do that is with intonation and sometimes pausing. So when we have a long sentence and we have a comma in the sentence, imagine that this is the sentence. We've got some words over here before this comma. The words that come before the comma are going to rise. They're going to go up a little bit. I'm going to give you some examples here, but if you're just taking notes, make sure that before the comma, your voice rises. And when you get to the full stop, it goes down, and your voice falls at the end of the sentence. And this is a signal for the listener about what you're saying. And then they understand, like, oh, okay, the person's voice rose, it went up, okay, they're still talking. The idea isn't finished. Oh, okay, it rose, okay, they're still explaining the same idea. Oh, it went down? Huh, okay, that's the end of the sentence, right? So the listener is thinking about all those things when you're talking. So it's important for you to imitate that because it makes you sound like a native speaker. All right, so, oh, and one other thing, which I was going to say, which is that after the full stop, there should be a little pause. Pause. This is very important. So we don't pause in the middle of the sentence, almost never. That's very fluid. It flows together a lot. But after a full stop, there's a pause. And that pause, again, it signals to the listener that the sentence is finished. Anyway, there's more explanation about that in Advanced Speaking Guide. I don't have time to go into that. Got to stay focused. Okay, so emphasizing punctuation. So I'm going to give you an example here of something for this real quick. So like I said, we increase our intonation at the end of a clause before a comma. In the sentence below, look for the comma. Where is it? Okay. Even though the woman thinks the university's plan is a good one, the guy really believes a new building is a bad investment. Okay, I just read that with flat intonation. Not the intonation you want, but where's the comma? Ding, ding, ding. There it is, after a good one. Okay, so what's going to happen here is that the rising intonation starts a little bit before the comma. So we're going to start over here. If you can see my mouse on this, it's going to start around a good one, a good one, a good one. Let me come back here, use my hands with this. So with the flat intonation, we say a good one. A good one. Doesn't change. But the ideal intonation that we want is going to go up before the comma. A good one? A good one? The university's plan is a good one? The university's plan is a good one? I'm going to show that to you here again, just so that you can see that clearly and imitate it. Just listen to me say it really quickly, and then I'll give you time to repeat it. I'm going to say it a couple times so that you've got time to really hear what I'm saying. Even though the woman thinks the university's plan is a good one, the university's plan is a good one. Can you repeat that part of the sentence really quickly? Okay, and just try saying it one more time. Is a good one? And then let's finish the sentence. Remember, we've got a full stop at the end. Our voice is going to fall. The guy really believes a new building is a bad investment. The guy really believes a new building is a bad investment. Just try saying the whole thing out loud so that you've got the rising intonation in the middle and the falling intonation there at the end of the sentence. Just say it one more time. All right. Okay, we're going to move on to one more example before we finish up. There's a whole bunch more examples in the Advanced Speaking Guide, but we don't have time to do all of those today. I'm sure you've got other things that you need to get to today. So we're just going to do one more quick example. All right, okay, so now again, same kind of thing here. We've got a new sentence. We want to look for the commas. Where are the commas in this new sentence down here? Okay, we've got two, actually. We have one after so, and we have another one after on, going on. I'm going to say this the way that I would say it. I would say, so, repeat after me, if you will, please. So, if there's a lot of classical music going on, if there's a lot of classical music going on, so, if there's a lot of classical music going on, and I'm pausing so you can repeat me. So say that for me there. Now let's say the end of it. They won't be able to concentrate. They won't be able to concentrate. And we get the falling sound at the end. I'm going to say it just one more time, and if you can from memory or just from listening and watching me at the same time, try to say the same sentence one more time. So, if there's a lot of classical music going on, they won't be able to concentrate. So, if there's a lot of classical music going on, they won't be able to concentrate. I know it can be kind of strange when you're repeating long sentences, but this is one of the that's actually in the Advanced Speaking Guide. Make a difference. When I talked to you before about some of my students who changed their score from 23 or 24 and they go to the exam and they get 28, they do these activities. They do all the activities that are in the Advanced Speaking Guide. They focus on all of these things about imitating native speaker intonation, basically trying to sound more American when they're talking, and these things make a huge difference when you go to the exam. So there's loads of practice activities, lots of things in there for you to practice with. So like I said before, you know, if you're feeling a little bit confused right now, if maybe you're not totally confident with this, it's normal not to feel really confident. Because is this new? Is this new for you? If this is the first time that you've ever practiced this before, I can tell you, I've done this with so many students in lessons, it's completely normal to feel confused in the beginning. It just means that you need to do more practice with it. You need to give yourself the opportunity to master it. Because do you remember all of these things that we're doing with pronunciation, physical mouth change, sounds that we make, bending and stretching? It's a physical thing, and it's kind of like music. So I just want to ask you really quickly, do you play a musical instrument? Did you learn how to play piano or maybe some other instrument? Or, really simple, did you ever learn how to ride a bike? Now, I'm guessing that probably the first time that you tried to ride a bike or drive a car or play football or anything that is a physical activity or something about music and sound, maybe learning how to play guitar, something like that. The first time you did it, I'm guessing that it wasn't perfect. And you probably made some mistakes, and you probably didn't feel 100% confident. And that's totally normal. And in that situation, nobody judged you. Nobody said, oh, you didn't ride that bike perfectly that first time. Well, just give up now because you'll never be able to do it. Like, no, you keep doing it. You know, we all are very patient about certain things, like learning how to ride a bike, learning how to drive a car, learning how to play the piano or the guitar, learning how to play a sport, right? We give ourselves lots of patience for that. And you need to give yourself the same patience with this as well. You just have to practice it. You just have to keep going with it. That is really the main thing. So at this point, if you're feeling a little bit confused, that's normal, no problem. But after you go through key 5 and key 6 and you master those concepts, you're going to feel a lot more confident, a lot more ready, a lot closer to that confidence score of like a 10 to get that. All right. Okay, so yeah, I mean that basically concludes my explanation of everything. Do we have any questions that we want to talk about here?
So guys, I'd say if you want to ask a question, the best thing to do is come to the website englishsuccessacademy.com/class, and there you can click on the green button, put in your name and email address, and you'll be forwarded. If you've done that already and you just want to come straight to where we are, it's englishsuccessacademy.com/TOEFL-accent. If you was to, I've put the link into the YouTube channel, I've put it on the Google Plus Hangout page, and it's also on the website. So if you have any questions, that is the place to come to ask Jamie a question.
Let me just get that here real quick. I'm gonna, as you're doing that, I'm gonna write that out here just in case.
Yeah, if we can put a slide.
Yeah, let me do that. Hang on. Sorry guys, just give us a second. Wait. So what is it again? So it's oh, I know what it is.
So I know we've got
just typing in, hang on, class/TOEFL-accent, right?
That's correct.
That's the one. All right, okay, hang on. I'm just going to pull that up here real quick, make it really big so that it's easy for people to see that.
And I think we also would like to say good luck to Omid, I hope I pronounced that right, Omid, and also Sharon. They're both doing their TOEFL exam on the 12th.
Oh, we definitely want to say good luck to you guys. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We want to say good luck. Thanks for coming out. Okay, I've got that up on the screen now. I think we can see it, right? So if you want to ask a question, come to this website address and you can type in your question there. Steve's going to take a look at those and then he'll be asking them because I actually can't really see it right now, but he'll be asking for me. So, okay. All right. Do we have any that we can get started with?
Not at the moment, no. A lot of people are watching on the YouTube channel.
Oh, really? Okay. Hi, guys on YouTube. It's pretty exciting that you found me. I don't know how you found me, but that's cool. I'm glad that you're out there. Nice. That's exciting.
Malgosia asked a little while ago, she would like to be one of the 20 and is she in the right place to sign up? So absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, maybe let me talk about that really briefly here. So if you click the green button that's below the video, that you well, you have to come to the website. So all you people on YouTube, I hope you're changing locations right now, because otherwise from YouTube you can't get the special accent reduction package. You've got to come to our website. But if you come to the website, if you go to this.com/class/TOEFL-accent, you will be on a page that has a green button. And if you click the green button, you'll come to this page, which has Jamie's one-time offer, the accent reduction package. Okay, so let's talk about this really quickly, just so that it's very clear that what you get with this accent reduction package is personalized advice about how to score 26 or higher on your TOEFL IBT speaking test. Okay, so this is what Steve was talking about before. This is the special day that we've set aside. Next week, I'm going to be listening to 20 people, and you can see here we've limited it to just 20 students. And during that time, what happens is that I'll be listening to your speaking, and I'll give you personalized feedback.
Can you just refresh that page as well, just to check, because I think some people have purchased already, and I just want to make sure we to see how many we have
Oh,
left?
yeah, sure. Well, this actually, no, because I don't have, this is not the website. This is not the live website. It's just a slide on
Okay.
PowerPoint.
Let me just check then, and I'm going to give you a live
Yeah, if we
update.
want to know how many. Yeah, this I did this
So
screenshot before we started. So.
It's in real time. So there's 8. There's 8 spaces left.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, guys. So if you want this, make sure to get on this. The competition might be a little fierce here. I mean, part of the situation is that it's really important to me to give you guys high quality feedback. I've been traveling a lot. I am going to this conference next week. No, it's not next week. I keep saying that. It's actually like the day after tomorrow. I'm going to this conference. And I'm going to be meeting a whole lot of English teachers from all over the world. I'm going to be telling them about my training program to help English teachers start to teach TOEFL online. That's what I've been doing with a couple teachers so far. And so, yeah, so that's what I'm planning on doing in Manchester, is meeting people at this conference. And because I'm traveling, because I'm doing that, I'm not teaching any students right now. Like, I don't have anybody in my schedule currently. So when I told you that story yesterday about the woman who called me last night, we were taking lessons like a few months ago. I mean, it's not a recent situation that I've been teaching lessons. I haven't been teaching for a while. I've really been focusing on how to help more people. And that means that I stopped working with individual students. But I know that what you need is personalized help. You need somebody who can listen to you, who can say, like, okay, when you're pronouncing words, like, sometimes your TH sound actually sounds a little bit like an S, So I don't hear think. I hear something different. I hear sink, something like that, so that you can get clear about what your unique challenges are. Because like I said, I've taught in a lot of English schools, and I know that this kind of personalized feedback doesn't happen in group classes. It doesn't. I taught so many years in big schools where I had, I was lucky. We had small classes that had, 10 or 12 students in it. And there's never time to focus on each individual student. You just can't, because, we have the chapter and we have to talk about this stuff, and let's talk about this grammar and these verb tenses and things, and there's never time to focus on the individual student. So if you've been taking group lessons, or even if you've been taking private tutoring, and if your previous English teacher couldn't or didn't feel comfortable helping you with your accent, I really want to encourage you to take advantage of this opportunity. So what happens in the package is that if you get the accent reduction package, you will record 6 speaking files, and I'm going to listen to those. So you record them, you do a full speaking test, you send me that in an email, and then I'll listen to those. And then I'm going to make a list of things for you about the strengths that you have, the weaknesses that you've got, and specific page numbers, so that if you use Advanced Speaking Guide, like, oh, okay, I need to look at page 156. That's where my activity is. And that I go through and I create that list of stuff for you. So the accent reduction package has my feedback, and I help you with that, and I email you a PDF document of your practice activities. So then you can go away and you can self-study with that. You could use it with another tutor. You can go through that list of stuff, and you'll have a lot more confidence, so that that when you sit down and you're studying for TOEFL, you're not just watching some random YouTube video with advice that was created for some other student, or that was created for thousands of students, that tens of thousands of people have watched these YouTube videos, and they're not for you. It's not for you. But if you do the accent reduction package, you know that you're getting really specific information that is just for you, because I listen to you. Okay. So that's what you get with the package. And I'm promising to get the results back to you by Friday, April 17th. You'll have your personalized list of stuff at that point. And you also will get your choice of a free gift at that point, either advanced speaking guide if you don't already have it, or Write Notes, which can help you with your academic speaking responses so that you get a lot more comfortable with tasks 4 and tasks 6. Okay, now the other thing, I want to talk really quickly about who this program is not for. Okay, if you have a speaking target of 23 or 24, you don't need the accent reduction package. You really don't, because a lot of students, like if you've been stuck at 23 or 24, you know, well, you're getting 23, you're getting 24, and a lot of people at that level have quite a few issues with their accent. So it's not difficult to get 23 or 24 when you have accent issues. So if your target score on TOEFL speaking is 23 or 24, please don't buy the accent reduction package, because I don't think that you need it. I think that you can do a lot with self-study. You can just use Write Notes, which is, you know, a lot cheaper. You can use Advanced Speaking Guide. You can do something by yourself. You don't need the accent reduction package for a lower score. But if you need a score of 26 or higher, then it's right for you. And if you've been stuck, especially if you've taken TOEFL a whole lot of times, like these students who were stuck for like 9 years, this guy was trying to pass TOEFL, you know, 5 years, or even just a few months, you have to ask yourself, how long do you want that to go on for? Like, how long? I mean, because for the most part, these students who came to us, they found us recently, right? They were studying for a really long time on their own with other programs, self-studying, group TOEFL lessons, random YouTube videos, books that were old, not knowing what they were doing. They spent a long time studying something. And then they found English Success Academy, and they found me, and we started working together, and they worked with my tutors, or they worked with our programs. And at that point, they're like, oh, okay, that's what I need to do. And then often at that point, people can experience change pretty quickly. Like if you have confidence in yourself, if you believe that you can improve, if you believe that you can study, and you've got spirit, and you're not depressed about your score, you can make changes within a couple of months, like 3-4 months maximum. You can change everything in that point. If you've got a lot of anger or frustration or negative feelings about the exam, it takes longer to improve because you feel bad, and it's pretty difficult, you know, it's really hard to make yourself do something if you don't want to do it. But I mean, my point about that is that the students were struggling for a really long time, and when they learned what they need to do, and they spend their study time in a productive way, focused on the right things, it can just change so quickly compared to those months, or in some cases years, of doing the wrong thing. And I don't want that to happen to you. So definitely take advantage of the accent reduction package here. All right.
So Sean's asking a question here. Should I go for this offer since my test is on the 25th? If I get the results on April 17th, would that really help me? If I get it earlier than that, may it help me more?
Yeah. I don't think, I mean, it's not realistic for me to do it before April 17th. Can we find out more information about Shen? Is there a possibility to extend your deadline, Shen? Because it's so hard for me to know. I mean, there are some people who can change their speaking scores quickly. You would have a week. I mean, the thing is, honestly, I'm the kind of person that I don't want to mislead you. I don't want to sell you something that isn't going to work. And I would be on the side of caution and say it might not be enough time. So usually people need weeks to change their accent. It's really normal that they need weeks. If you've got the opportunity to reschedule your TOEFL test, I would recommend doing that. I don't know if you are a student, if you are a pharmacist. I'm not sure what your situation is. So if you can just type some more in there, and maybe if we get some more information about Shan, we'll find out.
I was asking a question, ARWA, which I hope I pronounced it right. Hi Steve, my question is how to boost my confidence under the stressful circumstances. Now, it goes on a little bit more, but there's quite a few people that I've seen around the chat in Facebook and YouTube that have this same challenge with stressful circumstances. Since I now sound quite good, and people understand me much better. But on the test, I think I sound kind of flat. My speaking score is 23 to 24.
Mm-hmm. So the question specifically is how to improve confidence, right?
Absolutely. How to boost confidence under stressful circumstances.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna try to do something here. All right. Nice. I'm gonna try to do something here to share another PowerPoint. Like, can we see if this is gonna work here? Can you see this new slide of a boot? Is that showing up? Yeah? Okay. All right. So this is from a live class that I taught a while ago. It was the one from a couple weeks ago. And I was speaking about how a lot of people don't feel good. Like, they go to the TOEFL speaking test, and this is their typical reaction. Ah! You know, and they're cracked. And so many people respond really, really negatively to that kind of the fear of taking TOEFL. And the answer is so simple. The answer is so simple. You change your idea. You just change your mind. You change your mind. You're like, I'm not going to be afraid. I'm going to master my emotions. I'm going to give myself opportunities. I'm going to have a different reaction. What would not get crushed by a boot? What's safe under a boot? A rock. Rocks are fine. Rocks are totally fine. The ideal student reaction is just strength, confidence, being in control, not being nervous about it. And I know that it probably seems crazy because you're like, well, what do I do? How do I become that? Awareness and making the choice. I mean, truly, it can be that simple that you just decide, I'm not going to be stressed in that way. I've got a quick story that I'm going to tell you. So here in London, I came here a couple weeks ago. I did a totally crazy thing 2 weeks ago. Has it been 2 weeks now, I think? Yeah. I walked over hot coals. There was this big fire, and they burned all this wood, and they got the like dark, hot embers and the coals of the fire, and they put them on the ground. And me and a whole bunch of other people took our shoes off. We took our socks off. We got our brain into a completely different place where we were not thinking about fear. We were focused on something completely different. And I'm not kidding. I walked over hot coals and I was fine. I did not burn my feet. It was amazing. So the fact is that these things about, you know, what is fear? What is stress? Honestly, it's a choice. It's a choice that you make. I mean, yeah, you're going to feel afraid. So here's what I'm saying. The first thing is that you decide that you don't want to be stressed out anymore. And you change your idea about this so that you have that confidence and that strength. Don't indulge the fear. Don't indulge the panic or the stress. It is normal to feel it. It's human to feel stress. I'm not saying that you eliminate the stress. And you don't eliminate the panic. You simply make a choice to think about something else. You focus on something else. So when that fear is coming up about the TOEFL test, think about a comedy that you love. Make yourself laugh instead. If you're thinking, oh my gosh, I have to go to this exam and oh, it's going to be so terrible. I have to speak and the computer, oh, I hate that thing. Don't go there. Just block that. Let that exist, but rise above it. Think about something else. Like, you know what? I am going to speak so well that when I go to an interview, they're going to love me. I can't wait for that opportunity. I'm going to show them who I am. I'm going to show them how smart I am. I'm going to prove to them that I am good enough for this job or for this program or any of those things. It's an opportunity. You've got a chance to prove who you are. Because they're not going to want somebody who's just like super scared and worried about things. They want somebody who's strong and confident. So when you are practicing anything for TOEFL speaking, just ignore the fear, ignore the stress. You will still feel it. You will. But you've got a choice about what you pay attention to. And I'll be completely honest with you. When I come on these live classes, I am so nervous. Did you know that? Like, could you tell? I mean, seriously, you can't see it, but like I shake. Like my arms shake and I get really, really dry mouth before I start these classes. my stomach feels really weird. Like, I am physically uncomfortable, but could you tell that, right? I practice hiding it. I practice thinking about something else. So instead of focusing on the fear and the panic and the nervousness, oh my gosh, what if I make a mistake? What if I fall down? What if I say something really stupid? I don't focus on that. I just think, I'm going to help these people. I'm going to help make their lives better. I'm going to give them really valuable information. We're going to have fun. It's going to be exciting. And I put myself in a different mental place. That's it.
I was saying, she says, you know, I've tried this strategy and it helps in the reading and in the listening section, but when it came to the speaking, it was so hard for her to continue.
Okay, like to continue talking?
With her quiet attitude.
With her quiet?
It was so hard for me to continue with my quiet attitude, or quiet attitude is what it says.
Quiet attitude.
But I think that may be a misspelled word. But
I'm not sure what that means.
I think what she's basically saying is that in the reading and the listening section, it's okay, but with the speaking, taking what you've told her, she sometimes still struggles.
Okay. So here's the next piece of advice I would give you, Awa. Go to a cafe and do TOEFL speaking practice in public in a cafe. Because part of it is that you've got to keep doing it, right? You just have to keep doing it. So you're not done, sweetheart. That's all.
She said, thanks for your honesty. And okay. I have another question here, which is from Hamza. I believe I pronounced that right.
Mm-hmm.
I apologise in advance.
No problem. You're doing great. No worries.
Your name's wrong. But what is the best way to get a lot of vocabulary?
A lot of vocabulary. Well, I guess my question, Hamza, if you can clarify on that, what kind of vocabulary do you want to learn? Are you trying to boost your reading score? Are you trying to boost your writing score? Or are you focused on speaking? Because the phrases that I recommend for speaking are really different than what you need for the writing section. Because, like we were talking before, you get a 26 on speaking when you sound like a native speaker. So the transition phrases, the words that we use for speaking and casual conversation are really different from the reading test. So I guess my first question is, like, what kind of vocabulary is your priority? And if we can get an answer to that, then I can give more specific advice.
Fantastic. I'm just looking across all the different channels here.
Yeah, I know, we've got a lot there. It's awesome. Let's just take a moment. If you guys would, can you write a thank you note to Steve there somewhere? Because this guy, seriously, he like fixed the website while we're having the call. He's the one who got all of these things organized. He set up all the tech equipment. I mean, this guy is really on top of it. And I'm not kidding. This would not be happening right now if Steve were not here running the show behind the scenes. It just wouldn't be possible. So if you could just take a moment to just say thank you to him, I know he would appreciate it. He's kind of a shy guy, but still, you know. All right. Okay. Yeah.
So we have 3 places left.
Oh, okay.
3 places left if anybody wants them. And
3 accent reduction packages. Okay.
Is it worth you giving a little demo? Is it worth you just showing a bit behind the scenes? Can you do that?
Yeah, well, about what would happen if we did it? Yeah, I mean, I can just talk really quickly. Yeah, let's talk about the process real quick. Okay, so if you get the accent reduction package, what happens is you pay on the website and then you get a speaking practice test. You can log into our website, which, let me see here if I can just find a picture that would be useful for you. Okay, so just a second. I've got to change the. I got a little complicated here. Technology. Just a second. Okay. So can you see my screen? Yeah, is that coming through here? Yeah. Okay. So what I'm showing you right now is an image of the online TOEFL workshop. And this is the website that is specifically for our students. So when you come into it, after you get the accent reduction package, you come into the online TOEFL workshop and you click on score analysis. This is not a live website. This is just a picture right now, so I can't click that for you. But you would come here and you would look at that and you would click on score analysis. That takes you to a section where there's a diagnostic test. And so inside the website, you get 6 speaking responses, like a full practice test. And so you sit there and you know, if you've got your tablet or if you've got your phone or something, you sit down, you do the test, you time yourself, and you record your speaking responses. So you're doing a TOEFL practice test, basically. You record all 6 of those files, and then you make the file name really clear so that it's easy for me to understand it, not just like some crazy date or a bunch of numbers, but you change it like, you know, Julie's task 1, you know, or like Jamie's task 2 or something, whatever your name is. You change those file names so that I can read it easily. You put those 6 files into an email and you send those to me. And then I look at that, and on the day next week when after the conference is finished, I'm going to sit down for a full day. I'm going to listen to those. I'm going into my email, turning off Facebook, 0 distractions whatsoever. I am focused on you. And I listen to the files that you sent to me, and I think about what kinds of pronunciation errors are you making? What are the problems that you've got specifically? And then I'm going to give you a list of stuff to do. So it's a little bit different because here, for example, remember how I showed this to you before? I mean, let's say, for example, that you speak, let's say that you speak Russian, okay? So here you can see that in the book on page 11, if you just self-study with the program, you would come here and you'd see, okay, well, these are typical mistakes that most Russian speakers make. And here we can see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 errors, or 5 sounds. But you might not actually have problems with all of those things. In fact, it's really common that, you know, students who speak the same language don't make exactly the same mistakes. I mean, you know, you were in English classes before. You remember what it's like in English classes, right? Not everybody is the same. Like, your friend speaks a little bit differently than you do. You speak a little bit differently from that person over there. We're not all the same. Even though maybe you speak the same native language as your friends, you have slightly different issues than your friends. So the list that's in the book, like when I said here before that, you know, if you speak French, Portuguese, Spanish, Russian, Arabic, Farsi, or Turkish, see page 11. If you speak Chinese, Tagalog, Korean, Japanese, Thai, or an Indian language, see page 10. I mean, this is a good starting point. This is, you know, it gets you closer to your goals, but you might not have all of those things because it can be different. And I've also seen some situations where a student makes a very unique mistake it's not on the list. You know, I mean, it's just that person makes their own little mistake, and it's not typical for the language. So what happens in the accent reduction package is that I'm listening to you, and I'm going to go through each of those areas, and I'm going to say, okay, this is an issue, you need to focus on that. This is fine, don't worry about that. This is a problem, those things. And so I'm giving you a specific customized list that's your list. It's not somebody else's. And at the same time, I'm also going to evaluate your intonation and your ability to identify or to use weak sounds. And then you know, like, are you close or do you have a long way to go with that? You know, because sometimes you have to budget your energy. You need to understand how long it's going to take you, how much energy it's going to take. You know, where do you need to put more of your energy? Because these 3 things that we talked about today, pronunciation, weak sounds, and intonation, those are each subjects that you need to work on, but like, which one is the biggest issue for you? Like, some people have a lot of pronunciation mistakes, and they have to start there. If they just start with intonation, it's still really confusing. It doesn't make it clearer. So part of what you get with the accent reduction package is that confidence and the clarity that's like, okay, these are the things that I need to work on. Right? And I just want to remind you really quickly, I've been teaching since 2010 for TOEFL. I've been teaching English since 2008. I'm getting old. maybe just a little bit, on the internet, but you can't tell because of all the pixels. Anyway, so, so I've been teaching for a really long time. I've been teaching TOEFL full-time for 5 years. That's a long time for TOEFL lessons. And what's happened is that I've gotten a lot of really smart, very ambitious students who came to me. And I was very lucky because so many TOEFL students came to me, I started to understand why people get the scores that they get. But this is not information that's in typical TOEFL prep books. I mean, the whole reason that I created my programs is because there wasn't anything to help my students in these areas. And I thought, my student is here, my student has this problem, my student needs to get up here. How do I help them move? And I couldn't find stuff in the books that I had, and I've got a lot of English books, and I couldn't find the pieces that I needed. That's why I made these programs. That's why I offer these kinds of customized packages.
So I've got a couple more questions here.
Okay, awesome.
And first of all, thank you everyone for all of the nice comments.
Oh, did you get some good comments?
I really do appreciate them. I think we should reciprocate that back to Jamie now, and if you'd like to just let me know in the chat box how amazing Jamie has been on this class, then I'll be sure to make sure that she sees each and every one of those comments.
I will read them, yes.
So yeah, if you've got any love for Jamie, please give us some comments on Facebook, on Twitter, on the website, on YouTube, just to let her know if she's helped you at all. And honestly, if you have gained anything from today, please share with us what that is. If you've had a little insight, a nugget, an aha moment, something that takes you from where you was 2 hours ago to where you are now, please share that. Let us know.
Definitely. I'm very curious. I always love knowing what your discoveries are because it makes me feel like I did something valuable with my day. So yeah, definitely write in there and let us know what that is for you.
So we have a question here. I'm going to say the name, I'm going to pronounce it as Desai or Desai. It's D-E-S-A-I.
Okay.
So, doing a really great job, thank you. My question is, have taken TOEFL for 3 times, but could not get the desired score in reading, speaking, and writing. How can they now get their confidence back after setbacks 3 times?
Yeah.
And it's a 2-part question. The second part is, in speaking question, if I am stuck for a while, my whole confidence gets low for the rest of the questions. So how can I keep going?
Good. Desai, I want to say that you're really great for identifying that those are where your obstacles are. The fact that you're aware that that's happening is fantastic, and it's an indication that you're probably closer than you think you are to being successful. So yeah, how to get your confidence back. I mean, again, it's kind of what I was talking about before, that it's a choice. That you've got to find a way to overcome the nervousness. And I know that that's not easy. I mean, it's one thing for me to just sit here and say, like, oh, you have to become confident again. And it's a different thing, and I've seen that with my students. It takes time to get that. So the first thing that I would recommend to you is that you stop taking TOEFL for a while. I mean, you're going to study for it, but you don't schedule the exam, because you are right. Every time you take it, and you don't get the result that you want, it does something to you psychologically. And part of the reason why some people study for 9 years or 5 years or 8 years, I had another student, he took TOEFL 32 times. Part of what's happening with that is that people are getting destroyed psychologically. So you need to pause, don't take the exam. Study for it, but don't take the exam for a while. The second thing that you need to do to get your confidence back, first, what I would say, Desai, is focus on your reading score and your writing score first. Focus on those first. Wait with the speaking for a little bit. Focus on reading and writing, get those scores up, boost those scores, then turn 100% of your energy and attention onto speaking. And I'm just going to share one other image here with you really quickly, because this is also so important when you think about how long do I need to study for, and what is it that I really have to do? When am I going to be done? This image that I'm sharing with you here is showing the 5 phases of learning. And the first phase is where so many people are. They're making errors automatically, and they don't know it. They don't know that they're making errors. So they say something wrong, but they don't hear it. moving into the second phase where you're making errors consciously is the beginning of change. But when you're doing it consciously, it takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of effort. You have to work really hard to change that so that you can, oh no, it's not, I said the wrong thing there, I'm sorry. So the second phase is that you notice your errors and you start making the errors, but you hear it and then you fix it. So phase 2 and 3 is where a lot of students actually are. They know that they're making a mistake, they're conscious that it's the mistake, but not always do they have accuracy. The place that you need to push yourself to is to get to phase 4, where you're speaking accurately and automatically, so that you don't have to think about it. You don't spend energy on it. It's right, and you don't have to worry about it. And the 5th phase is that you speak accurately and automatically, even under stress. Even under stress, because when you've got that stress, it just pushes you back down towards phase 1. And, you know, when you have a lot of fear or there's panic or a lack of confidence, you're so distracted, you're so focused on something that you don't hear the mistakes. You're not aware of the mistakes that you're making. So, honestly, repetition, patience, focusing on the right thing and reviewing, that's how you're going to get through it. I mean, I know it's not really rocket science. I mean, I don't know that I'm telling you something that you don't already know. I think I'm probably telling you something that you already know. The biggest mistake that most people make is that they don't continue, right? It's like they try doing the same thing again and again and again, but it doesn't get the result. And so they don't change what they're doing, right? Which could be studying more consistently or, you know, learning how to master your stress so that you're not feeling that panic, and giving yourself that space to make the progress, giving yourself time without the stress. That is the most important thing. And sometimes, I mean, I'm just going to be realistic, sometimes people have to delay their dreams. Sometimes they have to. I know that you want it tomorrow. Everybody wants it tomorrow. But I've seen people who are pharmacists and their FPGEE certificate scores expire. It happens. I've seen people who want to apply to an MBA program and it doesn't happen this year. So they keep trying. They care about it enough that they're going to get it next year, you know? And so sometimes you have to readjust your schedule so that you have time to actually get the change that you need. Just because it doesn't happen now doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. But you need to give yourself space. And so focusing on reading and writing first, Desai, so that you can get your confidence back there. Know that you're doing that consistently. Then turn your energy onto speaking. That's the way that I would organize it if you were taking private lessons with me. I wouldn't start with speaking with you. I'd start with writing and reading. Boost your scores, get them really high there, super high, really strong, very confident, consistently. And if it isn't consistent, we'd keep practicing until it is consistent. And then we'd focus on speaking. Okay, that's all I got there. And if we have any tissues, I am sick. I don't know. I'm probably irritating people sniffling, but yeah. Sorry, guys. Sniffles.
I think that's it. I think we've done a fantastic job, and everyone's questions in here, I think we've managed to get through.
Yeah? All right. Awesome. Great. Nice, guys.
I know how that feels, since it's really hard to accept making an error while speaking and continue answering the other questions if nothing has happened. So. Oh,
that was the second part of her question. Oh, yeah, right. So what does she do? What was the other question? Was like, how do I?
The second part of the question there, yeah, was how do I keep going? If I get stuck for a while on a question, how do I keep going?
Yep. Okay, so again, and that's a great question because that happens to a lot of people, and I have seen this so many times with my students who are taking private lessons with me. We do practice tests together in the session, and it happens. I mean, people make a mistake, right? But I mean, it does. Even when I went and took TOEFL, I made a couple mistakes. I still got 30, but I made a couple mistakes, you know? I mean, it happens. So the choice that you have in that brief moment of recognizing that you made a mistake, you've got two choices. One choice is that you can allow yourself to indulge the sadness, the frustration, that feeling of like, oh, I just made a mistake. we're going down, and then everything does. It drags down. It does. This is totally real. I've seen it happen with so many of my students. So you've got that option to fall down. Or you have the option of deciding in advance, right now, you've got the choice. Next time that happens, I'm not going to feel the same way. I'm going to feel more positive. I'm going to come back. I'm going to bring more energy. I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to keep going. That is the only thing that you can do. I mean, when I was talking to you earlier today, I made mistakes. I did. But did you know that? Did I freak out? Did I feel really sad? Did I be like, oh, it's over. Just cancel the live class. I can't go on. I mean, you don't. You just have to stay there. Stay with your intention where you want it to be. I mean, that is the solution to it. And one tip that I give to my students when we're doing those practice tests, I'm going to share that with you right now. This is exactly what I've told my students in lessons. Tell yourself a positive message at the end of your speaking response. Say something good in your head, nothing negative. Nothing negative. And that can be really hard for some of my students. They finish a response and it's okay. I mean, actually it's really pretty good. And I can hear it. I can hear it in the way they're breathing and the way their voice. And I'm like, no, positive message. Tell yourself something positive. And they struggle to find something good to focus on. But when they train themselves to notice the positivity, it's easier for them. And that can train them to have that upswing, the happiness at the end of the response. And that can make it easier to keep going.
I've got one more question here.
Yay, one more question. Okay.
I'd like to go up to ask you because this one's from Hamza.
Okay. Oh, yeah, about the vocabulary.
About vocabulary.
Nice.
But also to follow up on that, he said, well, actually, my problem is when I communicate with others, I miss some words to express my idea. So I need enough vocabulary to communicate effectively. Is it worth reading the dictionary?
No, I wouldn't suggest reading the dictionary. Although a creative, very exciting opportunity to read the dictionary. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you're missing words when you're talking. I mean, it sounds to me, Hamza, there are a couple of things that you could do. I think you've probably got two issues. One is that you need some phrases that you can say to help link ideas together. And since you're talking about speaking, since we're talking about TOEFL, I would recommend that you use Key 6, Chapter 6 of the Advanced Speaking Guide. And in that section of the book, you can look at my responses. We've typed out every single word that I said. So you can listen to the audio file on the internet, on our website, but in the book, you can actually see what I said. And I give this same activity to a lot of my students who were taking private lessons with me. They look at my responses, they look at my words, and they take the phrases that they like, and they make flashcards with them, and they practice using them. So they use my response as an imitation, as a model of what is good, what gets a high score, what TOEFL graders like, and then they try to take some of those phrases and use them in their own vocabulary. So that's the first thing I would recommend, is to use spoken English with spoken phrases, not written phrases, because like I said before, they're different, right? So you need a good model. I would say Advanced Speaking Guides Chapter 6 will give you the kind of direction that you need for that. So that's the first thing. The second issue that I think you're having is that you don't talk enough. Probably, I'm guessing maybe you speak English like less than an hour a day, probably. Maybe even just a few minutes, or maybe you're living in America. I'm not sure who you are, but even if you're living in America, sometimes we have a bubble around us where, you know, our family members or our partner speaks the same language that we do as a native language, and so we're technically in another country, but we don't always speak that language, right? So even if you're living in America, you might be speaking your native language a lot more with family, or sometimes even I've got some students who live in America, they go to work and they're working in Spanish, or, you know, they're working in Arabic or something at a pharmacy where, or a hospital or something where, the focus is working with non-native English speakers, and so they don't have opportunities to practice. So what happens is that your thinking speed is slow, because when you are speaking your native language or the primary language, your brain gets quick. And so you talk, and your brain is like, oh yeah, that word, and your brain grabs the words really quickly, and they come out of your mouth super fast because you're thinking quickly. But then there's this other language that you're trying to speak, and you don't use it enough. So your brain is like, wait, where's the word? Is that the word? Okay, let's take that word, and oh yeah, that one, and that word, and your brain is really trying to work to figure out what you need to speak. The only problem there is that you're not speaking enough. So if you need that, so I'm giving you this is your process. Here's my personalized advice for you. Use Key 6. Take the phrases that you like, things that feel good for you. You're like, oh yeah, I like the way that sounds. I want to use that. I want to bring that into my English. And then make sure that you've got a lot of practice opportunities. You need to be speaking for a few hours every day in English. That's going to accelerate your process so that your brain is thinking faster.
Wow. I'm always learning so much from Jaime. I mean, I see her.
Don't use the dictionary.
There's such knowledge in what she tells, and I hope you can agree that it's been valuable today. So we're out of time now. We've been on for 2 hours.
I know. I'm so hungry.
We're gonna go off now. I just want to take a moment to say a massive thank you to Ching. Welcome to the family.
Ooh.
These are some of the people that purchased the course.
Yeah, so, nice. Okay, great. That's exciting.
Gosia.
Okay, great.
I believe that is. Malgaratza, that's a challenging name for me.
Sorry about Steve's pronunciation.
I'm so sorry. I'm English, but my English isn't. So, Marina, congratulations and welcome to the family. And this, do you know what? There's so many others, but I'm not going to go through them all now. But we've still got a couple of packages left. If anyone wants them,
exciting.
You can. There'll be some people obviously will come through the replays. But obviously we've got to cut that off for the day. So when is the cut-off? When do they have to submit this to you?
Yeah, well, we're going to give it just a couple more hours to get that deal. So
and then we're going to shut that off. So
you've got like 2 more hours to make your decision about whether or not you want the accent reduction package.
When do they have to submit the audio files to you?
Oh, audio files, well, so I'm going to do the session on Wednesday. The 17th is Wednesday the 17th.
Correct.
Yeah, so we need everything at the latest by Tuesday, the 16th.
14th.
Oh,
Tuesday
the
14th.
Oh okay,
so
okay.
That's good to know.
So the day before, yeah, right, the 14th. No, I'm sorry. So I'm doing it on the 15th. We need to get your files by the 14th. If we don't have your files by the 14th, there could be delays. I mean, we'll try to help you, but if it's not in there, I'm going to be traveling again. I mean, don't be late with that. You've got about a week to turn in those audio files. Just make sure that they're in.
So I think that's fair to say that the audio files must be in by the 14th. If they're not, then you may not get the results that you need.
I mean, it could be until like the middle of May before I'm going to have the opportunity to do this again. So
okay, so get the files in before the 14th. Don't wait until the 14th.
Yeah.
Before the 14th. Jamie will go through them on the 15th, and you will get your replies or your responses back by the 17th, the Friday. So hopefully that clarifies everything.
Yep. That's exciting. Welcome, guys. I'm super excited. Looking forward to helping all of you. That's awesome. So.
Yeah, everyone's saying thank you so much. There's a lot of love for you. I'll let you read the messages. Yay. Fantastic. Thank you so much, everyone, on behalf of myself and on behalf of Jamie. It's been a great 2 hours. Hopefully you've gained some information.
Yeah, it's good. I always love doing these with you guys. I hope it's valuable. And once again, I just want to say it's fantastic that you took this time to focus on you and to improve your score. Because honestly, like when I got that success story yesterday, when I heard from these 2 students who finished taking TOEFL for 9 years, he was done, I cried a little bit. I'm not even kidding. I did. I cried a little bit. I was so excited. And when my other student finished after 5 years, again, it was a really emotional, amazing moment. And that's why I'm helping people. It's not because I love TOEFL. Nobody loves TOEFL. You don't love TOEFL. I don't love TOEFL. It's about what you get afterwards. It's about that feeling of being done with this exam. And honestly, there is nothing more that I want than to help you finish with this so that you can get back to your purpose and, you know, the path that you want to walk in this life. So anyway, looking forward to helping some of you guys. Really glad we've got accent reduction packages for you. Have an awesome day. Take care of yourselves. See you later. Bye-bye.